Welcome to our online presentations. First of all, I would like to pay my higher respect to our hardworking and respectful lecturers, Mr. Kakchanarat, who teach literature study in class E2.6. We are from group 1 and we have 4 members. They are me, Chumrongse Ratana, Mr. Chap Samut, Mr. Chu Kum Sreng, and finally Mr. Ieng Pirum. In this video, we are going to present 4 tasks. Task 1, which is about summaries of the chapter 2 that will be presented by Mr. Ieng Pirum. Then task 2, which is about the main message of the chapter that will be presented by Mr. Chu Kum Sreng. And next is task 3, which is about the connection between the study text and real life that will be presented by me, Serai Ratana. And finally, Mr. Chap Samut will be responsible for the vocabulary games.
Leela had to go to the market so that she could buy the food for her family. On the way to the market, Leela saw several young men on the steps sitting and playing drums and singing. Then she met her friend Mina. Mina asked Leela if she was able to come and see the play with her that night. Then Leela refused it and told her that she couldn't come even if Harry brought her here, since she couldn't leave her sisters and her mother alone. After that, Leela and Mina, both of them, went to the market together. In the market, Mina bought some of the flowers to make a garland for her hair, while Leela bought only the cheap things. While buying some groceries, Leela and Mina heard people talking about Biju's boat, and they also thought that Biju was a smuggler, since Mina had heard that from her father. At night, Harry, Leela, Bella, and Kamal talked about Biju's boat and how Biju became the rich by being as a smuggler. Harry was also willing to work on Biju's boat, even if Leela tried to stop him, since she thought that Biju was a smuggler and police will catch Harry to Bombay and put in jail. Yet Harry still wanted to get a job from there. He thought that if the police caught him, at least he could get to Bombay. Biju's boat being built by the Alibaba workmen. Harry was watching Biju's boat being built with the other village boys instead of going to catch the fish for their family. He heard Biju say that once that boat was in the sea, it would fetch him 50,000 rupees a day at least. While he was thinking about the money that Biju could earn from his boat, his friend Ramu came by on his cycle and asked Harry to go with him. They were talking about Biju's boat, but Ramu really didn't want Harry to work on Biju's boat, since he thought that it's not a better job to earn daily wages. It was only for the fishing season. Ramu also wanted Harry to work in a factory that it is come up. Harry also thought about that. Now he had 2 or 3 possibilities that he could work. Yet Harry wasn't really interested in the idea of working in the factories. He would rather work on Biju's boat. The De Silva family came with their baggage from Bombay to stay in Toul for a couple of days. Harry, Leela, Bella, and Kamal helped them every day. When Mr. De Silva was about to go back to Bombay, he asked Harry if his father was going to be able to work for the family as a watchman to take care of their house in Toul when they were away. As soon as Harry got excited and brought his father to see Mr. De Silva, Mr. De Silva kept mocking Harry's father and told his wife that Harry's father was a hopeless and useless drunk man. Mr. De Silva told Harry that he could give him a job as a car cleaner if he ever came to Bombay. He also gave Harry some money before he left Toul as well. While thinking about the job possibilities that he could get, he went up and reached the top of the hill. He thought that one day he would leave Toul. Then he heard someone strike a match, and it was one of the people that was working on the factories. Once Harry had spoken to that person, he decided that it would be better to work in the factories because all of the things that the man told him about the new city opening in Toul that would be full of chances for him to get a job. But the man kept belittling him and making fun of the fact that Harry knew nothing about life. After a long conversation with the factory worker, Harry thought that he may not be able to get a job in the factory since he knew nothing about that. When he went back home, Ramu told him that Biju's the priest had arrived, but he had lost interest in it. He didn't know whether Mr. De Silva's idea for him to work as a car cleaner was true or not, neither if he will have the chance to work in one of Toul's factory later. Harry kept thinking about his family's future, that his sisters have to get married, and he was the one getting them all what they need for it. Also, he kept wondering what their futures and jobs would be. He didn't know what the future holds. He felt so bad. He didn't know what to do, and he was pretty sure that the money he might earn from any job of this isn't going to be enough for all of this. When he went into the hut, he saw his sisters' sad and frightened faces, which made him cry out and ask them what happened. This is the end of the summary of chapter 2.
Hello teacher and hello everyone, welcome to task 2. In this task, I am going to analyze the main messages of the chapter 2 based on the psychoanalytic criticism theory. The first message is city people have poor memories. The first message shows us the differences between the countryside people and the city people. City people have their time for holiday since they are rich, while countryside people don't have time for holiday. They are working for survival. Their work seems to be based on the nature, as we can see that they consider the sea as the source of their food. Another thing is that the relationship between city people and the Toul people. We can see that city people, Mr. De Silva and his wife, didn't seem to recognize Harry since every time they came to Toul. Harry always offer them help. For example, like he went to buy sugar, salt, meal, drinks, and some fish for them. And Lila also cleaned the house for them, but they seem not to recognize them. We can clearly see that the relationship between the city people is very poor, while the relationship between the countryside people is very close to each other. In psychoanalytic criticism, we learn that human behavior are often driven by 4 factors, which are desire, fear, need, and conflict. In the story, we can see the desire, like we can see that Harry and his sister hope that one day they will be rich or can afford for their family. That's why they do many things, such as work for Mr. De Silva's family in order to get money. Fear. We can say that Harry and his sister try to find work to support their family, just like working for Mr. De Silva. The reason is to support their family, and the most important one is to take their mother to the hospital because they are afraid of losing their mother. Need. In this message, we can imply that people in Toul, they consider the sea as the source for them to find the food for survival. Conflict. When they say that visitors from Bombay definitely touch in the head, they mean that those people are stupid or crazy, something like this. It's not a kind of war or fighting, but we can imply that it as bullying. The second message is useless drunken villagers. They're drunk in the morning. What can you do for them? They are hopeless. What we can see from this message, we we can see that city people may think that the villagers don't find the way to develop their poverty. They just being as a drunken man and let their wife and children get hungry. The villagers seem to have low education and they seem to be easy to control. So the stranger think that when he want to control them, it will be easy for him. We also can say that he didn't like the villagers. So now we can see the desire in this message by the word that Mr. De Silvas and one of the factory workers said. We can see that they kinda have a feeling of hatred toward the villagers that are usually being as drunken men. And fear, as in this quote, in this message, we can see that the factory workers said that there will be a lot of factories will be built in Toul. Harry was willing to work there, but another side of him also think that he's scared of losing his land. That's why he want to he want to go to Bombay to protest against the factory construction. And another one is need. As what one of the factory workers said, that some of the men in Toul went fishing and drowned themselves in the sea. Here we can imply that in order to survive, they can risk their life in the sea. Last but not least is conflict. Mr. De Silva mocked Harry's fathers by saying that he is a useless and hopeless person, while one of the factory workers called Harry as a pumpkin-headed, which can be mean as a stupid guy. This kinda bully him. And another thing, Harry was also in a hard situation to decide whether he should continue to stay in Toul or go to Bombay. So this is the end of my part. Thank you everyone for paying attention, for listening my part, and the next part will be presented by Ratana.
So now let's move on to task 3, which is about interactive or animate analysis of the connection between the study text and real life situations that will be presented by me, Siray Ratana. First of all, family is always the first priority. In the story, despite the hardship, Leela is forced to endure. She remains optimistic and tries to help her family. She takes over the responsibility her mother had and takes care of her younger sister while also cooking and cleaning around the house, although her parents didn't fulfill their responsibility as a good parent for her. Even though Leela is only 13 years old, she is already mature and understands clearly about the importance of the family, unlike other kids at her age. She knows how to spend money wisely. If we look at one of the scenes from the story, we can see that when Mina and Leela go to grocery store together, they stroll down the lanes past the woman who sells flowers. Mina bought some flowers to make a garland for her hair, while Leela could not spend money on such things. She went to one of the two grocery stores on the market square, where she could buy rice and other ingredients, and bought her rice there after carefully figuring all the variety and choosing what seemed best at the lowest price. If we take a look into the reality of our society, there are a lot of devoted people who sacrifice everything for the good sake of their families. Just like one quote says, there is no place better than home, which they believe that their family are their everything, and they also believe that there is nothing in this world that is better than family. Moving on to the next point, which is about respect yourself before you want others to respect you. So, what exactly is respect? Respect is an overall evaluation you give someone based on many factors, such as what that person is doing with their life, how they treat you and others, whether they are honest or not, and if they seem to consistently do good things, large or small, for other people. In short, respect is a positive view that you form of how someone is living their life. On the other hand, self-respect is your view of how you're living your life. In the study text, when Harry asked Mr. De Silva to give his father a job as the watchman, Mr. De Silva frowned and mumbled and turned his head away to say to his wife, "Useless drunken villagers that drunk in the morning. What can I do for them? They hopeless." After that, Harry led his father back to the house and was still in silent rage about his father's drunkenness and about the Bombay man's insulting words. In reality, no one respects you if you don't respect yourself first. For instance, just like Harry's father, whom should be responsible for his family. Unfortunately, he was not responsible, while Harry and Leela take over the responsible for their father and mother had. So, by respect yourself here means giving and defining your own worth and value as a human being. Just like one quote says, respect for ourselves guide our morals, respect for others guide our manners.
Without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way, from where we began.
You know, we started.
Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.
Let me tell you.
When I see